Well, a big event in D.C. tomorrow, President Trump's salute to America being held on the D.C. Mall, and our next guest will be there. Joining us now is Academy Award-winning actor Jon Voight and Karen Vaughn, who is a Gold Star mother and author of World Changer, A Mother's Story. And my greetings to both of you. It's an honor to speak to both of you. But, Jon, first to you. Tell us what you're doing to help the Gold Star family specifically.
Well, I received a lovely invitation through a friend of mine who's an actress and a conservative talk show gal on radio, and it was from Karen Vaughn and the Moms for America, and it portrayed this event, you know, that 40 Gold Star moms are coming to D.C. and making a statement against this slide towards socialism, which is against the Constitution and everything their children and husbands fought for. I looked at that, and I always look at this holiday as a very special one, and this was a perfect way to celebrate it, to come and be by the side of these great people.
Karen, I got to say, you are the heart of this country. You really are the heart of this country. The mothers and the wives and the family members who have suffered from their loved ones going to war, who've endured the worst possible sacrifice, losing that loved one. But even those who come back in good physical shape sometimes carry scars inside that you don't see for years. So thank you and bless you for what you've done. But tell us what you can continue to do, particularly in the light of what Jon was talking about, the move towards socialism, but I think even worse than that, the move to denigrate patriotism itself, which we see on display this week.
Well, that's very troubling. And, you know, I spend quite a bit of time trying to talk to students in high school about what they're being told about America versus what the truth is about America and American exceptionalism and the greatness of our nation. And yes, my son Aaron gave his life for the American way of life. Every single person who signs up to fight in our armed forces does that for a purpose. They do it to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States and our way of life. And so, you know, as Jon said, as we see this slide towards socialism, I made a Facebook post and just said, hey, if you're a Gold Star family member and you'd like to have a voice, join me in Washington, D.C. for the 4th of July. And it just turned into something monumental, of course, when Jon lent his voice to it. But if I could, I want to tell you, I just found this post on Facebook, or excuse me, on Google. I Google searched, what does socialism mean? Because I wanted to know what people thought it meant. And I just want to read this.
I'm afraid to hear what it says.
This is what people think socialism means. Socialism is an economic and political system where the ways of making a living, factories, offices, etc., are owned by the workers who run them and the people who depend on them, meaning the value made belongs to the people who make it instead of a group of private owners. We've got a real problem here with what people perceive to be the truth and what the reality actually is. And that's why Gold Star families who've made tremendous sacrifices to protect our way of life for 243 years are standing up together this week in Washington, D.C., saying, not on our watch. We will educate the American people. We will do it with the dignity of a mother and a wife. And we will say, no, not today, not tomorrow, and not ever.
You know, one of the freedoms that your son, and my son, by the way, fought for is the freedom of private property, is the freedom to own what you have worked for and to hold on to that. A lot of these proposals that you're hearing right now from some of the Democratic candidates involve going in and taking back, forcibly taking from you something that you've already worked for, you've already paid taxes on, confiscation tax, which is what the wealth tax really is. Jon, I mean, there is that economic side, but let me just focus on the patriotic side for a moment. And this denigration of the flag that you see, I think what Nike is doing is denigrating the value of the flag by listening to Colin Kaepernick instead of listening to patriots who enjoyed the idea of it being put on a piece of clothing. What do you think of that?
Well, of course, it's very disturbing to hear that kind of thing going on. But you know, that's what's going on because these young people are not getting any information about our government and our way of life. The major institutions in this country, the most prestigious, have the majority of them, the great majority of them, have no courses required on history, the history of our country and our government.
Well, on the contrary,
and that
Jon,
includes the people who are the history majors.
You know, forgive me for interrupting, but it's just the contrary of that. You have required courses teaching you stuff about capitalism that's wrong, teaching you stuff about socialism that's wrong. So the only requirements that you have are requirements that give you bad information. But we want to leave on a positive note. Quickly from both of you, John first, and then to Karen. What does the flag mean to you, John?
Well, I mean, listen, it's this wonderful way of life that we've been blessed with, that this country has been blessed with. And if you want to know what it means in terms of the comparison to this socialism that is creeping in, you listen to the people who have come to this country from communist countries, from places where they don't have these freedoms, and you'll see, and they are frightened to death. They say, John, what's happening? What's happening? We saw this happening in our country. Yeah. America is the greatest. I say, yes, it is. It is the greatest. And we've been the beneficiaries of it, and we want to protect it.
Karen, only about 5 or 10 seconds. Go ahead.
A representative republic is the noblest form of government ever devised by man. The American flag represents a representative republic that was hard fought for. 1.3 million have given their lives for it, and over 41 million have fought to protect it. And we owe them the honor of protecting it in the generations to come.
Amen.
Karen Vaughn, John Voight, God bless you both. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful July 4th. Have fun.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
God bless.